Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Optimal Living Advice, episode 277. I'm your host, Greg Audino, and on this show, I take listener questions about whatever it is that you're struggling with and offer guidance, support, sometimes direct advice, but oftentimes just different questions you can ask yourself to help you unlock the answers for yourself. Now, the question we've got today is a really good one, as we will hear from a man who is undergoing the first significant challenge with his longtime wife, a challenge that's surely revealing new sides of both of them. So let's jump in, try to help out, and start optimizing your life. Greg, something is weighing heavy on me right now that I never expected. My wife and I have been together for nearly 15 years. Our relationship has been great, and we've been very lucky in that the only real hardship we've faced is my wife's personal journey to overcome some traumas and demons from her past. Now, we've been happily detached from religion since we've been dating each other due to equally unpleasant experiences in the church growing up. But my wife's healing journey has recently brought her to a saved by Jesus moment. It's like a switch has flipped, and she's given herself over to Christianity in full force to the point that I hardly recognize her. I just don't know if I can support her through this one. It feels like a phase and something that she'll get out of her system, or at least I hope it is. She's been irrational, illogical, and that's just not her. I want to stay true to who I am and who I believe we are, but I don't want to push her away. Is there ever a point where you can stop supporting your wife? Okay, and there we have it. Thanks for sending this in, Asker. It sounds like a very hard spot to be in. Your savior is seemingly joining what you feel to be this dark side from which they once rescued you, or from which you once escaped together, maybe. So where does that leave you? It's a lot. Well, the short answer to your question is that, of course, you can stop supporting anyone at any time. You just have to bear the consequences. Maybe that's obvious, but maybe you needed to hear it aloud anyway. So let's consider not only what those consequences might be, but the whole spectrum, really, of what's going on here. You seem to take a lot of pride in the partnership that you and your wife have. And there is a lot that binds you. But sometimes amidst the joy of being partnered with someone for so long, we either forget or don't care to admit that we're still two separate people, having to face and/or being able to fully understand some battles all alone. I know you've been there as your wife has tackled her past. Maybe it's felt as though you were really in tune with it, and you probably were. But now there's a crossroads, right? What happens when your wife's healing is at odds with a shared value system? And how threatening is it really for her to opt out of those values? Convenience is really a far-encompassing term. But still, you have to ask yourself, are you only willing to support your wife's journey until it's inconvenient for you? That's another way of phrasing your question. Because you are not allowed to dictate your wife's healing process. That's hers. You can be there alongside for support or not, but you can't call the shots and tell her to heal differently. Your wife has arrived at this point that is undesirable for you and was probably once undesirable for her, but it isn't anymore. So one, you can stay and you can support her in full, living with the fact that for now and maybe forever, you have different religious beliefs. Two, you can stay and simply disengage from this currently major part of her life. And if you're avoiding this, you're not giving yourself a chance to listen to what it means for her. So you're robbing yourself of a chance to grow closer with her and see the person she's growing into, even if it is just a phase. And then the third option, you can leave, of course, which would be nothing short of saying that your own trauma rooted in religion is stronger than your love for your wife. The answer to it's not right or wrong for you to do this, mind you, but if you were to do this, it would definitely be time to double down on therapy and unpacking your own pain like you probably haven't had to do before. And depending on how strongly you feel about this, you might want to do that even if you do choose to stay with your wife. And in order to get clear on which of these three avenues feels right to take, you've got to start by checking in with yourself. You have to find what's really underneath this question that you've sent in. So can you name what exactly the threat is, I guess is what I'm asking. Do you feel you're losing a teammate? Do you need your wife? Do you somehow need her to be as dissatisfied with religion as you are? Does your love hinge on a sense of intellect, and maybe the most unbearable thing for you is to think of her as illogical and irrational, as you said? One way of looking at this might be, what part of your wife's identity right now would you be the most ashamed of having as part of your identity? Hash through those questions and see what you come to. For now, though, there's obviously a sense of loss and maybe betrayal for you. The main fear is losing your wife in one way or another. But you haven't lost her yet. You and your wife have connected really well, it sounds like, and her turning towards faith is not necessarily the same as turning away from you. If she's still there right now, which she is, she's inviting you to join her to some degree. Whether she wants or accepts, for you to go to church with her all the time, or whether she's fine with you just supporting her decision but not necessarily taking part, there's still a window of opportunity to connect on this in a way that satisfies your individual needs and your needs as a couple. If you're fully resistant, though, and not willing to hear her out or even allow her to just believe that this is good for her in spite of thinking that you know better, then you're closing that window for connection and eroding the relationship yourself. So boiled down, you've still got her. And what's more important, that or remaining steadfast in your approach to religion? You don't have to know the answer now, but if you want to arrive at the best outcome for yourself and your wife, a change is going to have to come eventually. Maybe before it's too late, your wife will come to a point at which she feels religion is no longer the best tool for her and you'll get what you want and that'll be enough, but maybe not. And a big thank you to the asker once again. Now, I get the feeling that there's going to be a lot of self-discovery for you as you wade through this question that you're facing. But I also feel as though it really stands to help you get much more in touch with and improve your relationship with your wife and yourself, and hopefully both, as long as you're able to really open your mind and your heart, and again, challenge yourself in a way that you may not have been challenged before. That's the game. Everybody else, I hope you enjoyed this episode and that you will consider sending your own questions in. If there's something on your mind, you can email it to me at advice@oldpodcast.com, advice@oldpodcast.com, oldpodcast.com. You'll definitely hear back, and I would be more than happy to hear from you. I'd be grateful. So consider it. It's time to get out of here now, though, everyone. Thanks so much for coming, and I will see you next time, where your optimal life awaits.